Sketch of tomorrow. In a room cluttered with art supplies and crumpled paper, Haruto leaned over his desk. The city lights cast long shadows as his pencil danced across a fresh sheet. With focused eyes, he sketched a small, lost cat, adding a final, hopeful glint to its eye. The next morning, the local paper told a tiny, happy story. A little girl, tears of joy on her cheeks, hugged a familiar fluffy cat. "He just showed up on our doorstep," she was quoted as saying. Haruto smiled and folded the paper. One small dream, delivered. Walking through the city, Haruto felt like a ghost. He passed a small flower shop and paused. The girl inside, Aya, looked sadly at a bucket of wilting roses. He'd seen her often, always surrounded by color, but today she looked as faded as her flowers. That night, Haruto couldn't shake the image of her sad face. He took out his pencil. He wouldn't just draw fresh flowers. He drew a new, impossible bloom for her shop, a flower that shimmered with the colors of a sunrise and could never wilt. The next day, a crowd was gathered around the flower shop. In the window, glowing softly, was the impossible flower from his sketch. And behind the counter, Aya's face was lit with a smile so bright it outshone every petal. Haruto watched from across the street as a customer laughed at something Aya said. She handed him a flower, her smile easy and warm. A strange feeling twisted in Haruto's chest. He wanted to be the one to make her smile like that. The desire was a spark that became a flame. That night, he drew for himself. He sketched a sprawling, vibrant amusement park under a sky full of stars. In the foreground, he drew himself, hand in hand with a smiling Aya. For the first time, his hand trembled. Haruto awoke to a strange light. Outside his window, where a quiet street should have been, the impossible silhouette of a giant roller coaster clawed at the sky. The world felt thin, and the edges of the buildings seemed to flicker like a poorly erased line. His phone buzzed. It was an unknown number. "Hello?" he answered hesitantly. "Hi," a familiar voice said, full of bubbly confusion. "This is Aya. I know this is crazy, but I woke up with these tickets, and I feel like I'm supposed to meet you." The park was exactly as he'd drawn it, from the candy-striped stalls to the laughing clown mascot. He met Aya by the grand entrance. "It's like a dream, isn't it?" she said, her eyes sparkling. Haruto's heart hammered in his chest. From the top of the Ferris wheel, the world was breathtaking. Aya pointed at the city lights below. "It's so beautiful." But Haruto saw something else. Beyond the park's perfect border, the real city looked pale and translucent, its lights flickering like dying embers. Suddenly, the sky glitched. For a second, a normal office building flickered into existence in the middle of the park's fantasy castle. The ground shook. The cheerful music warped into a discordant screech. Panic began to spread through the crowd. "What's happening?" Aya cried, grabbing his arm. The Ferris wheel lurched, its solid steel frame momentarily turning into a faint pencil sketch. The dream was becoming a nightmare. He understood then. His selfless sketches had added to the world. But this selfish one, born of his own desire, was trying to overwrite it. Two realities were tearing each other apart, and he was the cause. "I have to fix this," he said, his voice tight. He pulled away from a confused Aya and ran, pushing through the panicking, glitching crowd. He had to get back to his studio. He had to get back to the pencil. He burst into his studio. The room was unstable, flickering between reality and a half-finished drawing. On his desk, the pencil lay glowing with a furious, humming energy, the source of the world's unraveling. He couldn't erase his drawing. That would only rip a bigger hole in the world. He couldn't draw the world back to normal. His power was too unstable. He could only make one final, simple sketch, a surrender. With a steady hand, he picked up the pulsing pencil. It felt hot, alive with chaotic power. He ignored the screaming of reality and placed the tip on a clean sheet of paper. He began to draw. He didn't draw a hero. He didn't draw a fantasy. He drew his messy little studio exactly as it was. He drew himself sitting at the desk, and on the face in the drawing, he sketched a small, peaceful smile. As he drew the last line of the smile, a blinding light erupted from the pencil. A spider web of cracks spread across its wooden body, and with a soft sigh, it dissolved into a million motes of light. The world outside his window was quiet, stable, and perfectly ordinary. He was alone, but the blank page was finally his to fill.